He slumped to the ground, both hands on his face, shoulders shaking, tears falling onto the MetLife Stadium grass. His teammates surrounded him. Nobody spoke. Nobody needed to. Neymar Jr., 34 years old, 4 World Cups, 16 years in a yellow shirt. And it ended like this. Crying on the grass in New Jersey while Erling Haaland celebrated 20 feet away. I tried. I tried. Now it is over. I started here. I finished here. Those were his words. And every single person who has ever loved football, who has ever watched Neymar dance past defenders, who has ever dreamed of what he could have been, felt those words somewhere deep in their chest. I am one of those people. And today on Robert's Football Talk, this is personal. Welcome back. I am Robert. And before we break down what happened last night in New Jersey, I need to say something. Something I have never said on this channel before. Neymar Jr. is my player. Has been since I was a kid. The skills, the joy, the way he made football look like something magical instead of just a sport. I have been a die-hard Neymar fan for as long as I can remember. And last night, watching him cry on that grass, I cried too. This one is for every Neymar fan. For every person who watched Brazil last night and felt their heart break. And for every kid out there with a dream who understands what it means to try your hardest and still come up short. Let us talk about what happened, and then let us talk about what it means. Part 1. The night Brazil's dream died. MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey. Round of 16. Brazil versus Norway. On paper, this should not have been a contest. Brazil, 5-time World Cup champions. The most naturally talented squad in international football. Vinicius Jr., Endrick, Rodrigo, Rafinha, Carlo Ancelotti on the sideline. The weight of 215 million people behind them. A nation that has not won the World Cup since 2002 and has been waiting 24 years for this moment. And Neymar, finally back in yellow. Side index equals 14-1. The injury-plagued striker had battled a nagging right calf injury throughout the tournament, appearing in only 2 of Brazil's 5 games. Site, but he was there, on the bench, available. The greatest Brazilian player of his generation, carrying everything his nation had ever asked of him. Norway had Haaland. They had organization. They had the courage that comes from believing something nobody else believed. They had already eliminated everyone who said they did not belong. And for 77 minutes, Brazil kept them quiet. It was tense. It was nervous. Side index equals 18-1. Bruno Guimaraes missed a first-half penalty. Site, the kind of miss that makes an entire stadium hold its breath and an entire nation close its eyes. And then the 78th minute. Side index equals 18-1. Erling Haaland appeared when the match demanded it most and delivered a brutal brace. First, with a lethal header to open the scoring in the 78th minute. Then, with a stunning long-range goal in the 89th minute that finished off Brazil, site, 2 goals. 11 minutes. From the one-man Brazil could not afford to let breathe. And just like that, the dream was gone. Ancelotti sent Neymar on. Side index equals 14-1. He came off the bench in the 67th minute. Site, 15 minutes of regular time. Then extra time was not needed because it was already over by then. Side index equals 19-1. The forward converted a stoppage time penalty in Brazil's 2-1 loss. Site, a consolation. A final touch in a yellow shirt. A goodbye dressed up as a goal that meant nothing to the result. Side index equals 15-1. Neymar slumped to the ground in tears after the final whistle at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey before being consoled by teammates. Site, Rafinha held him. Vinicius knelt beside him. Endrick, the young one, the next generation, stood there not knowing what to say to a man who had given everything and still could not get what he wanted most. Subscribe to Robert's Football Talk right now if you are not already here. Because what comes next in this breakdown is the part 1 I've been thinking about all night. Part 2. I tried. The two words that broke my heart. Side index equals 15-1. I tried. I tried. Now it is over. I started here. I finished here. Slash site, he said it to a camera with tears on his face. Not in a press conference. Not in a carefully worded statement. On the grass. In the moment. 16 years of representing Brazil. 4 World Cups. And it ended not with a trophy lifted above his head, but with those 4 words and a penalty that made the score 2-1 in a match that was already lost. I need to say something about those words, because they are the most human thing any footballer has ever said at a World Cup. I tried. Not I won. Not I gave you everything and we achieved greatness. Just I tried. The simplest, most honest, most painful sentence in sport. Neymar tried. He tried in 2014 when he was at his absolute peak, when Brazil were playing at home, when everything was aligned for the dream to come true. And he was injured in the quarterfinal against Colombia. A knee to the back. A fractured vertebra. He watched from a hospital bed on a screen in Belo Horizonte as Germany put 7 goals past Brazil in the semifinal he should have played in. 7-1. On home soil. Without him. He tried in 2018 when his fitness was questioned, when he was criticized for diving, when the pressure of carrying Brazil almost crushed him. Belgium ended it in the quarterfinals. 5-1 on aggregate over 2 legs that felt like a funeral. He tried in 2022 when he was at PSG, when his ankle gave way in the group stage, when he came back and was never quite right, when Croatia stopped him on penalties in the quarterfinals. He lay on the pitch that night in Qatar too. Same image, different stadium. And he tried in 2026, at 34 years old, with an injured calf that barely let him play, coming on as a substitute when Brazil were already losing, scoring a penalty that changed nothing but meant everything to him personally. His last touch, his last goal, his last moment in yellow. Side index equals 17-1. While nearly everything at the club level during a brilliant run with Barcelona, a World Cup with Brazil always eluded Neymar. Though his best chance was dashed in 2014 when he was injured for their semi-final on home soil against Germany. Site, 4 World Cups. Side index equals 20-1. 9 World Cup goals and 15 World Cup appearances. Site, Brazil's greatest player of his generation, finishing 3rd on Brazil's all-time World Cup scoring list behind only Ronaldo Nazario and Pelé. Numbers that should bring celebration. And yet the only thing that mattered, the only thing Brazil and Neymar ever truly wanted, never came. Now let me ask you something before we continue. If you could go back and give Neymar one thing in his career, what would it be? A fit body in 2014 when he was at his peak? A better team around him in 2018? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to know what you would change. Part 3. The career that should have been more and still was extraordinary. Let me be honest about something. And I say this as someone who loves Neymar. The injuries stole his story. Not just the 2014 World Cup injury. The ankle in Qatar. The calf at this tournament. Years at PSG where he barely played a full season. Moments where the football world needed Neymar at his best, and his body said no. Side index equals 18-1. Brazil's best player for more than a decade had been slowed by injuries in recent years that limited his impact. The country is now entering a period of transition, with the next generation taking over. Site. But here is the Neymar who existed when his body let him be himself. The Neymar of Barcelona. The treble in 2015. The partnership with Messi and Suarez that was the greatest attacking trio club football had ever seen. The goals. The dribbles. The elastico in tight spaces. The skill that made defenders look foolish and made fans laugh with joy. The Neymar who could do things with a football that simply did not seem physically possible. Side index equals 17-1. He is Brazil's all-time top scorer. And ironically, he got his first goal for his country ahead of global football icon Pelé. site. He passed Pelé's international scoring record for Brazil. The man considered by many the greatest footballer who ever lived. And Neymar surpassed him. At an age when most players are still trying to establish themselves. Side index equals 17-1. Neymar played his first game for Brazil on August 10, 2010, a friendly against the United States at the stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Site, and he played his last game for Brazil at the same stadium 16 years later. The same grass. A full circle that felt like it was written by someone who understood exactly how painful beautiful endings can be. That is not nothing. That is a legacy. Imperfect, incomplete in the one way that mattered most to him, but a legacy that Brazilian football will carry for generations. Part 4. Haaland, the man who ended the dream. I said at the start of this video that I do not want Haaland or Argentina to win this World Cup. I know that is not an objective analyst speaking. That is a Neymar fan speaking. That is someone who watched Brazil lose to Norway last night and knows that Haaland was the reason. Side index equals 18-1. Erling Haaland once again showed why he is one of the most decisive players in the world. The Norway striker appeared when the match demanded it most and delivered a brutal brace. First, with a lethal header to open the scoring in the 78th minute. Then, with a stunning long-range goal in the 89th minute that finished off Brazil. Side index equals 18-1. With his 2 goals, Haaland reached 7 goals in the tournament and tied Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappe at the top of the scoring chart. Site 7 goals. Level with Messi. Level with Mbappe. Haaland is having the tournament of his life. Norway are in the quarterfinals for the first time in their history. And the man who ended Brazil's dream is now the biggest story in this World Cup. I cannot be angry at Haaland. He played brilliantly. He took his moments when they came. But I am allowed to say that I hope his World Cup ends in the quarterfinals. Not because I wish him harm, but because Brazil deserved better. And Neymar deserved better. Neymar deserved a World Cup final. He deserved to stand on that pitch in the final minute of the biggest match in the world, yellow shirt soaked through, Brazil anthem playing, the trophy waiting. He deserved it more than almost any player who has ever played this game. And he never got it. Now let me ask you this. Does Haaland deserve to win the Golden Boot after what he did to Brazil last night? Or does it feel wrong given the circumstances? Tell me in the comments. Both honest answers are valid here. Part 5. This is personal. Robert's story. Robert's dream. I need to stop being an analyst for a moment. I need to talk to you directly. I started Robert's Football Talk because I love football. Because I grew up loving Neymar. Because I watched Brazil and dreamed about what it would be like to be part of that. To play. To create. To feel the ball at your feet and know exactly where it needs to go. I have a dream of becoming a footballer. I know how that sounds. I know the statistics. I know how many young people have that dream and how few of them ever get close. But the dream is real. It has always been real for me. And the honest truth that I have never said out loud on this channel before is this. I cannot afford to join an academy. The fees, the training costs, the equipment, the travel. For so many young people who love this game with everything they have, the barrier is not talent. The barrier is money. And that is one of the most unfair things about the sport we both love. Neymar was lucky. He grew up poor in Brazil, but the football system there found him. Santos brought him in. The coaches saw what he had. And the rest is history. But for every Neymar who gets found, how many players never do? How many kids with that same magic in their feet never get the chance because nobody sees them? Because the academy fees are too high? Because the right person never watches them play? I watch this World Cup every night. I watch Haaland and Mbappe and Alisson Messi. And I feel what every young footballer feels. That hunger. That belief that the dream is possible. That one day, somehow, it could be you on that pitch. And then I think about Neymar crying on the MetLife Stadium grass. A man who got everything. The clubs, The trophies at club level, the wealth, the fame, everything except the one thing he wanted most. And he is crying. And I am crying. Not just for him. For all of us who understand what it means to want something so badly and come so close and still not get it. Here's what I am asking. Not for myself. For the dream. If this video means something to you, if this channel has given you something, if the breakdowns, the analysis, the hours of work that go into every single script have been worth anything to you, subscribe to Robert's Football Talk. Share this video. Tell someone else about this channel. Because one day, with enough support, with enough people watching, this channel becomes something that can fund that dream. The academy, the training, the chance. Not just for me, for this channel, for this community that we are building together. I am not asking you to do anything except press 2 buttons. Subscribe. Share. That is it. That is the ask. Because Neymar taught us last night that trying matters. That the effort is everything even when the result does not go the way you planned. I am trying. This channel is me trying. And every subscriber, every share, every person who watches these videos is part of that. Part 6. What comes next for Brazil? And for Neymar? Side index equals 21-1. Carlo Ancelotti said he is looking to oversee a new cycle with the team after they crashed out of the World Cup. He said everyone is profoundly sad, as the fans are. This is normal to have those feelings, but what we have to do is react correctly. Site, a new cycle. Vinicius Jr. stays. Endrick stays. Rodrigo, Rafinha, the young players who will carry Brazil forward. They have the talent. They have the hunger. They just need the structure and the time to build something that can compete with France and Argentina and Norway at the next World Cup. But Neymar. There is no new cycle for Neymar with Brazil. Side index equals 14-1. The country is now entering a period of transition, with the next generation taking over. Site, he will continue playing club football for Santos, the club where it all began. Back home in Brazil, playing in the yellow of Santos instead of the yellow of the national team. He will score goals. He will still do the skills that made him famous. He will still be Neymar. But the yellow shirt that meant everything, the one with the 5 stars on the crest, the one he has worn 125 times for his country, that is finished. Side index equals 19-1. His only senior trophy with Brazil was the 2013 Confederations Cup. Site, 1 trophy. In 16 years. For a player of his quality. That sentence is the definition of a career defined by what could have been. And yet, I refuse to call it a tragedy. Because tragedy is when there is no beauty. And Neymar's career has been full of beauty. Full of moments that made the entire world stop and watch and smile. The Barcelona years. The Samba football that no other player on earth could replicate. The joy he brought to the game. The pure, childlike love of football that never left him even when everything around him became complicated. He tried. He tried 4 times. He gave Brazil and the world 16 years of the most entertaining football any Brazilian has played since Ronaldo Nazario. And he left on the grass of the same stadium where he started. Crying. Human. Real. I started here. I finished here. If you are a Neymar fan, hold on to those words. Not as a goodbye. As the most honest thing a footballer has ever said. He did not pretend it was fine. He did not give a press conference answer. He told the truth. In tears. On the grass. In front of the entire world. That is Neymar. Even at the end, he showed us who he really is. For me, personally, I cannot watch that image without feeling something. Something about dreams and effort and the gap between what we want and what we get. Something that makes me want to work harder on this channel. To build something. To keep trying even when the result is not there yet. Because the trying matters. Neymar proved that last night. Not with the trophy he never won, but with the tears he could not hold back when it was over. That is the full breakdown. Brazil eliminated. Neymar retired from international football. Haaland, the man who ended the dream. And a personal note from me to every single person in this community who understands what it means to love this sport and chase something that matters. Subscribe to Robert's Football Talk. Share this video with every football fan you know. Leave a comment below telling me your favorite Neymar memory. And if you are a young footballer with a dream, keep going. Keep trying. Neymar taught us last night that trying with everything you have is never nothing, even when it ends in tears on the grass. I tried too, and I will keep trying. This has been Robert's Football Talk. I will see you in the next one.